Welcome back to Mighty Habits, the show that helps you explore fascinating concepts so you can live a more intentional and fulfilling life. I'm Stephen, and I'll be your host for this deep dive.
And I'm Mary. I'm here to help us all uncover the deeper meaning behind some of these really intriguing ideas.
Today, we're tackling a concept that might make some of you, well, maybe a little uncomfortable, at least initially. We're going to be talking about the impact of hurry on our lives.
That's right. Yeah. And we're going to be exploring this idea through the lens of a very thought-provoking book by John Mark Comer. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
That title alone, I mean, it's
Oh.
kind of jarring, isn't it? It suggests that hurry is something we need to actively eliminate, not something to be admired or celebrated.
Yeah, it really does. It almost makes you wonder, when did busy become like a badge of honor? you know?
Right. It's like we're all racing towards, well, what exactly?
That's a great question. And it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, too. What are we sacrificing in this constant pursuit of speed and efficiency?
Well, that's what we're here to uncover today, right?
Mm.
What are the real costs of living in this, this perpetual state of hurry? And more importantly, what can we do about it?
I think a lot of us have this sneaking suspicion that this constant hurry isn't actually serving us. Like we feel stressed, burnt out, disconnected.
That's interesting because there's a growing body of research out there that shows a strong link between our fast-paced culture and a rise in a lot of things like anxiety, depression, even physical health problems.
Really, it's almost like we've created a system that rewards us for being constantly on, even if it's detrimental to our well-being.
Just like that old saying, we're living like we're going to die tomorrow, but planning like we're going to live forever.
Yeah.
There's a real disconnect there, isn't there?
Huge disconnect, yeah, and I think that disconnect is at the heart of what Comer's trying to address in his book. He's calling for a ruthless elimination of hurry because he sees it as a barrier to living a truly meaningful and fulfilling life.
So where do we even begin to kind of untangle this? What are some of the things that contribute to this feeling of constant hurry?
Well, I think first, it's really important to acknowledge that technology plays a big role here. We're constantly bombarded with information and notifications, and it creates a sense of urgency that can be really, really hard to escape.
It's like we're tethered to our devices, always checking, scrolling, responding, and even when we're not physically engaged with technology, our minds are still racing, trying to process it all.
Absolutely, yeah. And then there's this pressure to achieve, to be productive, to constantly doing something, right? It's like we've lost the ability to just be present and enjoy the moment.
Yeah, it's almost like we've become addicted to that dopamine rush of checking things off our to-do lists. But what about the things that can't be quantified? The things that don't fit neatly into a productivity app?
Things like connection, creativity, and simply enjoying the beauty of the world around us.
Exactly. Those things often get pushed aside in the rush to achieve more, do more, be more.
And it's a shame, because those are the things that truly nourish our souls and give our lives meaning.
Comer argues that this hurry sickness has a pretty profound impact on our spiritual lives as well. He suggests that it disconnects us from ourselves, from others, and from a sense of something larger than ourselves.
It's like we're so busy chasing after things that we lose sight of what truly matters. We become so focused on the destination that we forget to enjoy the journey.
And the irony is we often end up feeling emptier and more dissatisfied, even when we achieve, even when we achieve those external markers of success.
It's a classic case of climbing the ladder only to find it's leaning against the wrong wall. We're so busy climbing that we don't stop to ask ourselves if we're even on the right ladder.
So how do we know if we've fallen into this hurry trap?
Hmm.
What are some of the signs that we need to uh, slow down and reassess our priorities?
Well, I think one of the biggest signs is a constant feeling of stress and overwhelm. If you're always feeling rushed, like you're never quite catching up, that's a pretty good indication that you need to make some changes.
Yeah, and I think another telltale sign is difficulty. Difficulty being present. Do you find yourself constantly checking your phone, even when you're supposed to be, relaxing or spending time with loved ones?
Or maybe you're rushing through meals, not even tasting the food, or multitasking your way through conversations.
Right. It's like our minds are always somewhere else, always focused on what's next, instead of appreciating what's right in front of us.
And that constant mental chatter can be exhausting. It's no wonder so many of us are feeling burnt out and depleted.
We're living in this culture of hurry up and wait, aren't we? We rush from one thing to the next, only to find ourselves stuck in traffic, waiting in lines, or staring at loading screens.
It's almost comical, when you think about it. We've created all of this technology to save time, and yet we still feel like we never have enough of it.
So if we're feeling trapped in this cycle of hurry, where do we even begin to break free? Kummer suggests that the first step is to simply become aware of the problem.
That's right, yeah. We need to start paying attention to how we're spending our time and energy. Are we making choices that are aligned with our values, or are we simply reacting to external pressures?
He encourages us to ask ourselves some tough questions like, what are we hurrying toward? What are we afraid of missing out on? And is it truly worth the cost?
Yeah, it's about challenging those deeply ingrained beliefs about time and productivity that we've absorbed from our culture.
And starting to create a new narrative, one that prioritizes well-being, connection, and living a life of intention.
And that's where things start to get really interesting, because once we start to question those assumptions, we open ourselves up to a whole new way of being in the world. So we've established that this constant hurry is well, it's a problem, but where do we go from here? How do we actually start to dismantle this like deeply ingrained habit of rushing through life?
Well, Comer offers he offers a lot of practical advice in his book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
Mm.
He uh, he doesn't just like diagnose the problem; he actually gives us a roadmap for change.
Oh yeah, I love that he provides actionable steps.
Yeah,
It's one thing to acknowledge the issue, but it's a whole other thing to actually like do something about it.
exactly. And one of the most powerful suggestions he makes is to cultivate a practice of silence and solitude.
Now, I know that might sound well, a bit intimidating, in our hyper-connected world, but hear me out.
Yeah, I think uh, a lot of people might resist this idea at first. We're so used to being constantly stimulated, always plugged in. The thought of uh, the thought of being alone with our thoughts can be it can be downright scary for some people.
It's true. We've become so accustomed to the noise that silence can almost feel well, deafening, you know. But Comer argues that it's in those moments of quiet contemplation that we can truly connect with ourselves and hear our inner wisdom.
He suggests that we try to carve out even just a few minutes each day for silence and solitude, whether it's through meditation, prayer, spending time in nature, or simply unplugging from our devices for a while.
Yeah, it's about creating space for stillness, for reflection, for simply being. And in that space, well, we might be surprised by what we discover.
It's like hitting the reset button on our minds.
Yeah.
We can clear out the clutter and reconnect with what's truly important.
And I think that's a crucial step in breaking free from this grip of hurry. When we're constantly bombarded with information and stimulation, it's easy to lose sight of our own values and priorities.
You start to operate on autopilot,
Yeah.
reacting to external demands instead of uh, making conscious choices about how we want to live our lives.
Silence and solitude help us to step back from that frenzy and reclaim our agency.
It's interesting because a lot of spiritual traditions they emphasize the importance of silence and contemplation. It's not just a trendy, a trendy self-help concept. It's a practice that has been cultivated for centuries
Mhm.
as a way to, as a way to connect with something deeper.
Absolutely. And there's a growing body of scientific research that supports the benefits of these practices for both, for both our mental and physical health.
So it's not just a woo-woo idea. It's actually backed by science. I like that.
Me too. Yeah. It makes it a lot easier to sell to those who might be a bit skeptical.
So we've talked about the importance of silence and solitude.
Right.
What other practical advice does Comer offer for eliminating hurry?
Well, he also emphasizes the importance of simplifying our lives.
Now, I know that's a word that gets thrown around a lot these days, but what does it actually mean in this context?
I think it means taking a look at all the different areas of our lives and asking ourselves, what can we let go of? What can we streamline? What can we do to create more space and ease?
So we're talking about decluttering our homes, our schedules, our commitments, even our to-do lists.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about identifying those things that are draining our energy and our time, and finding ways to eliminate them.
Yeah, I think this is where a lot of people they struggle. We're so used to saying yes to everything, to taking on more and more, that the thought of letting go can be well, it can be really challenging.
It's true. We're afraid of missing out, of disappointing others, of not being seen as, as successful or productive.
But Comer argues that true freedom comes from having less, not more. When we simplify our lives, we create space for the things that truly matter.
And we free up our time and energy to pursue those things with more passion and purpose.
So it's not about deprivation. It's about it's about making intentional choices that align with our values.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about asking ourselves, what do we truly want our lives to be about? What are the things that bring us joy, that give us energy, that make us feel, that make us feel alive?
And then ruthlessly eliminating anything that doesn't fit into that vision.
It's about letting go of the shoulds and the have tos and creating a life that feels authentic and aligned.
It's a it's a process of discernment, isn't it? Of figuring out what's essential and what's extraneous.
Exactly. And it's an ongoing process. It's not something we do once and then we're done. It's about it's about constantly evaluating our choices and making adjustments as needed.
It's about living with intention rather than just reacting to the demands of the world around us.
It's about being the architects of our own lives rather than the passive recipients of someone else's blueprint.
This is all starting to make so much sense. But I'm curious, how does this idea of simplifying actually play out in our daily lives? What are some concrete things we can do to create more space and ease?
Well, it could be as simple as decluttering your physical space, getting rid of those clothes you never wear, those books you've already read, those gadgets you never use.
That's a great place to start. Clutter can be incredibly draining, both physically and mentally. It creates this sense of chaos and overwhelm that can that can contribute to that feeling of hurry.
Absolutely. And then there's simplifying our schedules, learning to say no to commitments that don't align with our values or our priorities.
Yeah, that's a tough one for a lot of people. We're so conditioned to please others, to be seen as as helpful and accommodating, that saying no can feel it can feel almost impossible.
Oh, it can, yeah. But it's a crucial skill to develop if we want to break free from this tyranny of busyness.
Comer suggests that we start by identifying our non-negotiables,
Yeah.
those things that are absolutely essential to our well-being and happiness.
And then we can start to set boundaries around those things, protecting our time and energy so that we can show up fully for what matters most.
He also talks about the importance of creating rhythms and routines that support a slower pace of life.
Yeah, things like setting aside time for rest and relaxation, scheduling time for hobbies and activities that we enjoy, and creating a bedtime routine that helps us wind down at the end of the day.
It's about creating a life that feels balanced and sustainable, rather than one that's constantly on the verge of burnout.
It's about prioritizing our well-being, both physically and mentally.
This all sounds great in theory, but I think a lot of people might struggle to actually implement these changes. Our culture is so fast-paced and demanding; it can feel almost impossible to slow down.
You're right. Yeah, it's not easy to go against the grain, but Comer reminds us that it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress.
It's about taking small steps, each day to create a life that feels more aligned with our values and our deepest desires.
It's about being patient with ourselves and celebrating the wins along the way.
This has been such a rich conversation,
Uh-huh.
but I'm curious, what are some of the deeper benefits of slowing down and simplifying?
Well, I think one of the most profound benefits is that it allows us to be more present in our lives. When we're not constantly rushing from one thing to the next, we can actually savor the moment, appreciate the beauty around us, and connect more deeply with with ourselves and others.
Yeah, there's a sense of peace and contentment that comes from living at a slower pace, isn't there?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that, and that peace and contentment,
Yeah.
it radiates outwards, impacting our relationships, our work, our overall well-being.
We become more patient, more compassionate, more creative, more resilient.
Yeah, we're less reactive and more, more responsive.
And I think that's a beautiful thing.
It is, yeah. It's about rediscovering the joy of simply being alive. As we've been talking about all this, about the downsides of hurry and the benefits of slowing down. Um, it's striking me that this isn't just about individual change. It's about societal transformation.
Yeah, that's a pretty profound thought.
Hmm.
Are we saying that that eliminating hurry is like a form of activism?
In a way, yeah. We need to challenge those like deeply ingrained cultural norms that glorify busyness and equate speed with success.
Yeah, it's like we've created a system that rewards us for being constantly on the go, even if it's at the expense of at the expense of our well-being, our relationships, our connection to nature, even our own sense of peace and contentment.
And I think that's where practices like mindfulness and intentionality, they come in. They help us to step back from that frenetic pace and question those underlying assumptions.
So it's about becoming more aware of the forces that are driving us to hurry, and then making conscious choices to resist them.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about reclaiming our agency and creating a life that is more aligned with our values, a life that prioritizes well-being over busyness, connection over achievement, and meaning over material success.
That sounds almost it sounds almost revolutionary, doesn't it? To
Yeah.
simply slow down and savor life in a world that's constantly telling us to speed up.
It does. It really does. But I think it's a revolution that's long overdue. We're starting to see a real shift in consciousness as more and more people are waking up to the fact that this way of living, it just isn't sustainable.
Yeah, there's a growing movement of people who are choosing to opt out of the rat race, to downshift their careers, to simplify their lifestyles, and to prioritize their well-being.
And I think that's incredibly inspiring. It shows that change is possible, that we don't have to be slaves to the system, that we can create a world that is more, more humane, more balanced, and more aligned with our true nature.
That reminds me of something Comer said in his book about the importance of Sabbath.
Yeah.
He argues that we need to carve out regular time for rest and rejuvenation, not just for our physical health, but for our mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being as well.
That's a beautiful concept, and it's something that's often missing in our always-on culture.
Yeah, we're so used to the idea of being productive, is always striving for more, that the idea of simply resting can feel uh, almost radical.
It can, yeah, but it's essential for our well-being. Comer suggests that we need to create clear boundaries between work and rest, to unplug from technology, and to engage in activities that nourish our souls.
It's about giving ourselves permission to simply be without the pressure to produce or achieve.
It's about remembering that our worth is not determined by our productivity, that we are enough, just as we are.
This has been such a thought-provoking conversation. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on the impact of hurry and the importance of slowing down.
Me too. Yeah, it's really made me question my own habits and priorities, and it's inspired me to make some changes in my own life.
So if you're feeling overwhelmed by the demands of modern life, if you're constantly rushing from one thing to the next, and if you're longing for uh, a sense of peace and contentment, I encourage you to check out John Mark Comer's book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. It's a powerful and practical guide to slowing down and creating a more meaningful life.
And if you're enjoying these deep dives into fascinating topics that can help you live a more intentional and fulfilling life, be sure to subscribe to Mighty Habits for regular updates. We're here to support you on your journey of discovery.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Until next time, stay curious, stay mindful, and stay mighty.